very refined in the biz. Rick Ross, Rose, dropping Port of Miami 2, 13 years since his debut album, Port of Miami 1. I guess we'll call it 1, just Port of Miami. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about Rick Ross a little bit. He dropped the songs with Drake after the Toronto Raptors championship. I can't recall the name of the song, but he's been
Money in the Grave.
Yeah, Money in the Grave. He's been featuring a lot recently. And listening to this album, the first half kind of left me with where I'm at with Rick Ross, which is I think I like him more when he just kind of drops in out of nowhere and adds something. But then the second half of this album, there's like a point. I think maybe it's after Big Time. I'm not sure. I want to go back and really pinpoint where the song was, but where the back half of this album really finds a groove, and I really enjoyed it. I was pretty impressed. I think it was actually when after Fascinated through the end of the album, I was like, he really seems to find something there. I was pretty impressed. Especially I think after listening to the other two rap albums we talked about this week. This was a nice breath of fresh air to have someone competent. And I don't know. How did you feel about Port of Miami 2?
Yeah, so this is definitely my favorite Rick Ross album since God Forgives I Don't, which came out in 2012. He released a lot of albums between these two. And I just I've been out on Ross as a album artist for quite a while. Yeah, let's see. Mastermind, Hood Billionaire, Black Market, Rather You Than Me. That's 4 records I think are just pretty valueless. There's really not a whole lot going on those. And at that time, the mid 2010s, I guess, I was just kind of out on MMG. I was out on Meek at that time. I thought Meek was being really repetitive as well. And this is right as the Drake beat's about to happen, and never was a Wale guy. So I was just kind of out on Maybach music as a whole. And then Ross, as you mentioned, kind of just started picking up hot features the past 2 years or so, which were catching my eye, obviously, because they were good. And then the fact that he actually could kind of catch a bit of his past glory, I think, like I said, best album in 7 years, was refreshing. And it's funny. I think Rick Ross has actually kind of overall been overrated as like a list top tier rapper. And I think that actually bears out if you look at the sales. He has 5 number 1 albums, the debut number 1, demonstrating immediate interest in him being popular. Yet only one of those albums actually went platinum. So his staying power as a solo artist, I think, is a bit questionable. And I don't think Port of Miami 2 is going to change that. I don't know if there's any massive hit on this. Again, he hasn't had a massive hit in quite some time, but he's always been around, and he will continue to be around because he's just respected as one of those OG figures. And I agree. I think the back half of Port of Miami 2 is pretty impressive. Songs like Vegas Residency really stood out to me. And it does feel like he actually started having something to say again. I think, that health scare he went through comes to mind. I think he reflected a lot on Meek's situation, given how close they were. So it's interesting or inspiring to hear Rick Ross more inspired, because it just felt like he was phoning in for such a long time. I'm just happy he's back to a good spot. Were there any other songs that you thought stood out to you in that back half or in the beginning?
Yeah, I really liked Big Time with Swiss Beats, and running the streets with Denzel Curry and A Boogie. I thought was pretty hot too. Obviously, Denzel Curry, another Miami guy. Yeah, I just like, I think, more when he's upbeat, and he does switch between upbeat and more like melodic R&B type songs on here. Even something like Summer Rain, I thought was pretty good. Act a Fool, I really liked a lot. And the production on Fascinated is really just impressive, and like the way that they like take the keys and just kind of like create this ambiance around it. I was really like, oh, this is some good shit. And I think you summarized really nicely kind of like a lot of people's overall feelings towards Ross, and not that he's not respected, but just he he got complacent, I think, a little bit. And that's not to say his stuff was bad, but I think it was, just not memorable. Um,
Mhm.
and it's nice to see him kind of be able to take songs where, like Vegas Residency or Maybach Music 6,
Mhm.
where they're songs I enjoyed and it's just him, no features. And he really seems like he's finding a little bit of what he likes about music, what inspires him again.
Right. And again, first time in a while, there was some virality regarding a Ross album. In this case, it was the Pusha T verse that Ross took off Maybach Music 6, which then subsequently leaked online that release day. And, it was funny that Ross initially was trying to mend the Good Music, Cash Money rift, as it were. And then he decided this wasn't going to do anything. So he's going to keep it off. And if you hear that Push verse, Push's uh, talking about clowns and ability and talent and stuff. So Pusha T is certainly not pulling any punches, but he also didn't seem mad at all that happened. So definitely a funny moment for sure. But yeah, I'm just happy Ross is. It seems like Ross is. This is a nice culmination, coronation of his feature run he's been on. We've been eyeing this and expecting this moment to happen, and it happened, which is great.
Just a question for you. What's your favorite, like either Ross feature or just song featuring Rick Ross in general? I have a clear favorite.
Sure. I think my favorite Ross song is probably Stay Scheming, a Ross song. I really like Stay Scheming, which he's on with French and Drake. That's because Drake disses Joe Budden on that. I mean, obviously I like Hustlin'. Obviously I like Blow Money Fast. Those are obvious ones. Underrated Deep Cut, I think, on God Forgives I Don't is so sophisticated. One of my favorite Meek flows ever. Three Kings on that one as well. 16, great Andre 3000 feature.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Mastermind, that first album that I didn't like, has Sanctified, which was the first Kanye West feature in about 2 years post Yeezus, which I really liked at the time for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's yours?
Well, even though it's a Kanye song, technically, "Devil in a New Dress," just the way he comes in at the end there just steals it every time for me. I actually listened to that song just to get to that final piece. The whole song is fantastic, but Ross just absolutely slays on that. What would Wu-Tang do, man? I mean, that's the question we should all be living by.